So the question for today is, discuss the relevance of Genome India project in the fields of biotechnology, healthcare, and agriculture. So we have already discussed what is Genome India project. I've explained it to you. So now I want you to write an answer for this question. Discuss the relevance of Genome India project in the fields of biotechnology, healthcare, and agriculture. So 2 pages in 10 minutes. Okay, so I hope you've written the answer for discuss the relevance of Genome India project in the fields of biotechnology, healthcare, and agriculture. Now, I've already told you, and since there are other students who've actually joined online, I'm going to repeat this so that if you're not already aware of it, you may try to implement it. Now, whenever you think about writing your mains answer, okay, so there are few things that you have to prioritize. Now, the most important thing when it comes to your mains answer writing is always with respect to completing the paper. The most important thing in your mains answer writing is completing the paper. So you must focus on increasing the rate at which you are able to think, write, and complete the answer so that you are able to complete all the questions, be it 20 or 21 questions with respect to UPSC or KPSC, that you are able to complete all these questions in the given span of time. When I say complete the paper, it's not that you attempt a paper, just write quarter of a page and leave it. That is just attempting the answer. Okay. I'm saying that you should have the ability to complete the entire paper in the given span of time. That is the whole idea. Why? Because the competition is so high that if you're not able to complete the entire paper, see, of course, there are different strategies. There may be few people who only concentrate on writing those answers or answering those questions where they are able to write quality answers, and they might skip few other questions. But if you ask me, I would really suggest that you always focus on completing the entire paper. And this is why practicing more and more and more, solving as many papers as possible is very important. So if you've not practiced answer writing before going to your mains exam, you will not be able to complete the paper. You can take it from me. Second is about presentation. How do you present your answer? What is the structure of the answer? Now, please remember, whenever a question is asked, it does not mean that you blindly stick to what the question is asking for. Always try to add something new. Say, for example, in this particular question, it is not asking for any kind of a suggestion. But that does not mean that you not write any particular way forward, suggestion, give your own ideology to it. There's nothing that is not preventing you from doing that. So at the end of the answer, always try to add something to the question, sorry, to the answer. Okay, so something that the government can implement, something that there is for you to look forward to, something positive must always be written so that you're able to improve the answer. So here, when I say presentation, I actually mean structure of the answer. So you must give importance to structure of the answer. Always your mains question, please do not write it like your essay paper. It must be divided into points, each point maximum 3 lines. I'm pretty sure you already know by now, the structure means you have an introduction, then you have the body, and then the conclusion. Okay, so the body may be divided into subparts depending on what the question is asking for. The question may have 2 or 3 subparts, then you may divide it. If the question does not have any subparts, even then you may divide it based on particular subheadings. Whereas the conclusion can always be with respect to way forward, or it could also be with respect to challenges. How do you overcome all these challenges? Third thing is with respect to your quality of answer, or I would say content. So whenever you talk about practicing mains, always focus first on completing the paper. Then second, once you've achieved this, focus on presentation. And when you do all these things, automatically quality of your answer or content of that answer will improve, because you already have the knowledge. So you have cleared prelims, and only then you're going on to mains. So if you've cleared prelims, you already have subject knowledge. What is the challenge? To bring that subject onto the paper in that given span of time, which will take time. Therefore, it is important that you practice. And when you achieve completing the paper in 3 hours and also presentation in that particular structure, quality or content will automatically come. But for this, you have to practice as much as possible. Okay, so now we'll start discussing this particular question over here. Now, this particular question is talking about GIP, that is your Genome India project. This I've already explained in class, the different aspects of it also we've already discussed in class. Now, the question is only asking for the relevance of Genome India project in the fields of biotechnology, healthcare, and agriculture. How will you start the answer? You will start the answer by explaining what is Genome India project. So you will simply say, what is Genome India project? So you might explain that Genome India project is a gene mapping project. Okay, so you can say that GIP is a gene mapping project which has been taken up by the Government of India or the Department of Biotechnology and will be implemented by a consortium of institutions like your IITs, IISc, and or your AIMS, for example. All these institutions will come together to carry out this project known as gene mapping project, where human DNA, that is DNA of Indians, will be mapped over a period of time. This is your introduction. Then you will come to the body, where in the body you will address what the question is asking for. That is relevance of GIP in the fields of biotechnology, healthcare, and agriculture. Now, even in the class, we've already discussed about various ways that GIP is going to contribute, correct? So what can we say? If you take biotechnology, if you say biotechnology, how is GIP relevant to biotechnology? You may write many things. You may write many things. For example, you might say, Genome India project, just like your human genome project, will help us to establish a national database, will help us to establish a national database for human genome, focusing on Indian genome, focusing on Indian genome. It will help us in studying evolution. It will help us in studying evolution because there are different branches of evolution. There are different branches of evolution. It will help us in studying how are Indians different from other populations. How are Indians different from other populations? Until now, all studies have been carried out with respect to Caucasian populations in the Western Hemisphere. But today we can focus on studying Indian population. We can focus on studying Indian genome, correct? Thanks to this, we are able to give importance to bioarchaeology. We are able to give importance to bioarchaeology, correct? We have also discussed about the origin of different populations. So India is a very, very diverse country, which is made up of many different populations or communities or societies. So where did these communities come from? Where did these societies develop from? The origin of the Indian people can also be studied with help of this Genome India project. How are we different from the rest of the world can also be studied from Genome India project. What is the diversity within India? Within India itself, how do different communities vary from different populations can also be studied thanks to Genome India project. Okay, so this you may write under biotechnology. Second, we can come to healthcare. We can come to healthcare. Now, under healthcare, what can you write? We can say that we are able to study the entire human DNA. Therefore, we should be able to understand as to why this human DNA, that is Indian DNA, makes us susceptible to certain diseases, for example. Now, we have already discussed what is thrifty genotype, thrifty genes, sorry. Yes. So, is this thrifty genes prevalent in the Indian community? Are the genes responsible for non-communicable diseases, for diabetes or coronary heart diseases? Are all these responsible? We are able to study thanks to Genome India project. We can talk about pharmacogenetics. Where we are able to develop specialized drugs, personalized drugs, which are more effective when it comes to the Indian population, which are more effective when it comes to Indian population. We are able to study endemic diseases. For example, we have this Toda, I've already mentioned this Toda, the tribal population, where sickle cell anemia may be there. So are there other diseases which are endemic to certain populations or communities in India? So if we are able to map the Indian population, we should be able to even identify different diseases which are more prevalent in certain communities in the country. So therefore, over a period of time, this can help us in developing treatments, procedures which are more effective on the Indian population and also more affordable. We should also be able to identify and determine how different diseases affect the Indian genome. Finally, we have agriculture. This Genome India project can also be extended or scaled to plants and animals, where we are able to sequence plants and animal genome in order to understand what makes them resistant to certain pests or resistant to droughts or increases yield and productivity. This will help us in animal husbandry and also increasing the income of farmers while also ensuring food security. Okay, so the Genome India project, which is focusing on humans, can also be extended to plants and animals. So by writing this, you have addressed what the question is demanding. But you will not stop here. You may consider writing few extra things. For example, you may talk about the challenges of this project. Particular project. Take India itself. Is it easy for you to collect DNA samples or DNA data? No. There are a lot of inhibitions towards such projects. For Aadhaar itself, we were talking about privacy. Then what about collecting DNA samples? Because in case we do not have a regulatory body to regulate DNA samples. Now, of course, we have introduced a DNA regulating bill, a bill to regulate DNA samples, to establish DNA data banks. Now, that's a different aspect. But we need certain code of conduct as to how do we handle this, these DNA samples while not affecting privacy. On top of that, we'll also have to overcome inhibitions which are present in the community. On top of that, we'll also have to ensure that there is sufficient funding and resources, skilled individuals and persons available in the country if we need to scale this particular project to the next level. Okay, so over a period of time, what can we do? Say, way forward or suggestions. We may consider collaborating with other countries in extending this project such that these projects may help the entire world or may have global advantage and benefit. So by writing something like this, you may conclude the answer. Okay, so I hope you've understood as to how you approach the question, what needs to be written, the different dimensions that you may consider writing, and always end the answer in a positive note.